When we think about threats to our coastal environment, one of the biggest ones is overharvesting. And here we are in the Florida Keys, a great example of abundance it used to be. So there's various species of whelks in here, various species of mollusks. Most of these are strombiid queen conchs that used to be super abundant and were the prized ingredient in conch fritters. Nowadays, when people get them, they're more typically on this size, and they typically don't come from here when you go to the restaurants in Florida. They're importing the meat from elsewhere. When you eat those guys, you're just eating the foot primarily. Queen conchs were put on the CITES banned international trade in 1992. And so mostly people are using other whelk species, not queen conch, when they're serving that. But we think about threats, and obviously over harvesting is one major threat to the coastal zone. But also we see changed dynamics, changed patterns, and when we look back behind us here, that's what we're seeing here. So this was a heavily vegetated island. We're on Summerlin Key. This area was heavily, was closed canopy and super thick, robust trees of the scale that this particular island is owned by the Boy Scouts, that they actually would have high adventure camps out here, and scouts could go from tree to tree to tree in a Tarzan-like jungle gym activity and never touch the ground. So in this case, the hurricane that hit 2 years ago radically, well, the island was getting sort of hit hard for a bit, but that 2017 hurricane very much so nuked the island, and those times seem to be gone, at least in the near term. So we can think of altered climate change and altered intensity and frequency of things like hurricanes. In addition, we have other altered cycles like different material inputs. So not only do we see different disturbances, pulse disturbances like storms, but we also see this press. And indeed, this is becoming now a press stress, a stress that's going on all the time. This is massive amounts of sargassum brown alga rack that's come ashore and is coming ashore everywhere. So a naturally occurring phenomenon, but no one has ever recalled seeing it to this order of magnitude for this many years. 2015 really went off the scales, and it's just been a continual problem ever since, where this naturally occurring seaweed has bloomed, likely due to changed oceanic currents and oceanic growth conditions, and it's just everywhere, and it smells quite anoxic. If we go farther offshore, we get to our seagrass and coral stands that are completely nuked, huge amounts of failed recruitment, disease, water's getting too hot, we're seeing coral bleaching, all kinds of other stresses. So this little area here, from our over harvesting of organisms, to our pollution and the consequences of that pollution, to our outright physical destruction, we're radically changing the coastal zone here in Florida and all around the world. So these are things that are not insurmountable challenges, but they're definitely challenges that we need to deal with. But Summerlin Key right here is a fantastic illustration of many of these stressors. Hopefully it can be an example of how we surmounted these stressors as we go on into the future.